north to Yorkshire and down into Wales and everywhere else to try and convince the lads that it wasn't lost. Then, you know, we thought we had a chance, but when the lads were coming back and sent back and saying that people were walking past them on the picket lines, and it's obvious that it was lost, and we had to get back to work and make the most of it.
The actual day of going back to the pit was marvellous, really. The march back, it was a marvellous day for us. To watch those men walking into the pit yard, there was pride in doing that. It was a marvellous moment for us to cheer them into the gates.
I don't quite know what to do with myself. I can't get used to the fact that my husband's now going out to work and the roles have now reversed again, you know, and I'm sort of working myself round him, where he's worked himself round me for a year and everything's sort of gone plain sailing. I mean, a year's a long time to get into a routine that you really do become stuck with. It becomes so much a part of life that when something reverses it or it changes, it's really hard. I think this is harder to accept than the beginning of the strike.
There's no incentive at the moment to actually work to get the pit going. You know, we've been on strike a year. We're still under the threat of closure, not only Snowdown now, but the whole Kent coalfield. So when you've got in the back of your head that the place is going to probably shut, there's not a lot of incentive to actually work to keep it open now.
That pit was our life, has always been our life. The pit itself has been something in the community that's...
The centre.
Yeah, the centre, and it's been a likeable thing, the pit. You know, and now it's changed. The men have gone back to the pit, and it's the NCB, the firm itself, seemed to encroach on our lives.
My dad has worked in the pit since he was 14. He's now 52, I think he is. He's put all those years into the industry, and just one foul swoop, just for fighting for a job, he's been sacked. I mean, haven't we got the right anymore to fight for a job? Are they taking that right away from us?
Thinking back on it now, we did lose. We lost a year with no money. We lost a lot of things that would have taken place during that year. We lost everything. I mean, you can sit here now and say that apart from the fact that we went through a year with no money, which was financially a traumatic experience, we're now left with miners in jail. We're left with miners sacked. We're left with that many casualties that really and truthfully you cannot say anything other than it was a defeat.
The only thing that's changed is that I don't go to work at Betsanger anymore. There's still plenty of jobs that we've been able to do. And, you know, Ray will tell you himself that the community's, you know, it
I
carries
don't see
on.
ourselves in any different position than the lads are at the pit at the moment. I mean, all the time this is over their heads that the pit's going to close. I mean, we're all going to end up in the same position. We're no different to them. It's just that they'll have a few £1,000 redundancy money in their pocket, you know. And when you look at that, all that is it's a lump sum social security, isn't it? That's all it is. If you haven't got another job to go to, it's no good having a few £1,000 in your pocket. They'll be no better off than me.
If you put a sacked man one side of the road in, a man who took his redundancy the other side of the road, I'd stand with that sacked man. 'Cause we let him down.
That's why it's so... You might be surprised that we still hate the scabs, but every time I see a scab at work, I can see a lad in jail, and I can see a lad sacked. And perhaps they thought we'd be forgotten after a while. Well, them lads that have been sacked, them lads that are in jail, they haven't forgotten what they've been through and what they're going through now. So all the time, even after, if they ever did get their jobs back, I still feel the same, because it's them scabs that did it to them.
As far as I'm concerned, the Coal Board have made their decision, and I think it was made long before the strike ever started, to shut Tilmanston as a starting point for the rest of the Kent coalfield. Perhaps my attitude is a little bit bad in the fact that perhaps I've given too easy, but I now have taken on the attitude that if it's going to shut, shut it. Get it over and done with, because the future is so uncertain.
What future is there for us? That's the big question mark, is what future is there for us in the mining industry now? And it's so, nobody will give us any answers. I don't know.
The lesson, the overall lesson of the strike is going to be political. I think people should realise that they themselves, by acting together in communities and in unity, can forge their own political destiny. That's the most important thing to understand, because there are two communities, and you can listen to the news every night, and they talk about the City of London, millions of pounds, and they can lose £5 billion at Johnson Matthey, and no one blinks an eyelid. But the working class people of Britain are getting too much pay, not enough productivity, and they've got to cut their pay rates. So there's a law for one, law for the rich, a law for the poor. So I think the political lessons have got to be learned.
And I think people have got to get politically aware and start asking themselves, what do they expect out of this country? What do they expect for their children? Schools, education, nurses, everybody. The whole thing is up for grabs now, as far as we're concerned. As far as the working class in this country is concerned, I think. And I think more people now are aware of that, far more than when the strike first started.
There is millions of tons of coal underneath the Kent countryside, which is true. The coal board will admit it. Snowdown has reached that seam. Why can't we have Betsanger and Tilmanston reaching that seam? Just a few more £1 million, that's all it takes. They've spent more than that in getting rid of people on redundancy. That's all it needs, is a few more £1 million for them to spend. They won't spend it because we have got to be, I think, the ones who pay for, as Ian McGregor said, the insubordination and insurrection of the miners, as if we were in an army, that we had to obey everything that he said. And that's all it will take, a few £1 million.
It's a fight for survival, and that's what we've done. Unfortunately,
I think there's a little saying. There was a saying through the strike, which side were you on? And I think both of us are proud to say that we were on the right side.
We were.
Well, whichever side was right, there is a footnote that today the Kent coalfield is at the moment operating at a profit. At what price is perhaps still too early to judge. Anyway, that's all for this month. I'll be back with the next First Tuesday, which is the first Tuesday of April. Until then, good night.